What is up, gentlemen? Welcome to the FAA podcast. Good to have Logan back on.
Yes, sir. Triumphant return. Love you decked out in
Yeah.
the Packers gear, by the way.
Yeah, the two pieces of Packers stuff I have.
With apologies to Jimmy.
Bought at Lambeau.
Oh.
So. But yeah, so we have the UFL Championship complete. Talk about that in a second. We got some news, some money to talk about. And then we'll get to the Packers Bucks draft recap at the end. And Jimmy, I guess we can do our dynasty draft recaps also if you want.
Sure. Let me just pull it up on my phone just to remember what I got.
Yeah, I gotcha. Anyways, let's get to it here. Talking the UFL draft recap, or I don't know, getting all my words mixed up. The UFL Championship game here. The Birmingham Stallions became a dynasty. 3 straight championships for the Stallions, back-to-back USFL champs in 22 and 23, and now they win the inaugural UFL Championship 25-0. I forgot to even put the 0 there. Doesn't matter. The 0, same thing as blank space, right? Yeah, this game went early on. It went kind of how I thought it was going to. I knew it was going to be a defensive battle. Stupidly did not take the under. I was all in on San Antonio. I had Brahma's money line. We were rolling with John Lovett, Anthony McFarland, first touchdown scorers. And I was very disappointed. The Brahmas early on, they had good opportunity, great opportunities even. They drove down. I think they got to the one drive got to like the Stallions like 39, I think, or 40, and they had to punt because Santoso they didn't think he had the leg. It was kind of interesting in an indoor stadium. You know, it can go either way, but they said his max was probably around 53. So definitely, 39, 40, you're kicking 60-yarder, I think, from there. So it was tough. They really didn't penetrate the Stallions' territory too deep. Only the one time at the end of the game really was the only one that they got pretty far into Stallions' territory. But the Brahmas defense held up early on, and the offense just could not capitalize on the stops. So that was disappointing. Birmingham's defense was outstanding, though. The run defense was crazy, but I hated a lot of the play calls that San Antonio did. They continued to run just straight at the interior guys that were stuffing all the runs and the linebackers. And then even I know the broadcast crew made a note of it about how they keep running side to side. That was in the second quarter when Tom Brady made his broadcast debut on Fox. And he was like, yeah, they keep running side to side. You got to run kind of downhill at them. But I was like, I don't know. They really haven't had success any kind of run that they've been doing. So it was tough. I thought Chase Garbers, they should have just aired it out. There were no sacks, or I think there might have been a couple in this game, but it didn't seem like he was getting pressured a ton, especially in the first half. The second half, I think, obviously the game was getting away with them from them down 2 scores, and they were kind of forced to pass every play. But 52 rushing yards for San Antonio. That's what the Birmingham defense held them to. And on the opposite side, the Stallions' rushing attack was fantastic. They ran for 210 yards. They did exactly what San Antonio did to St. Louis last week. Run for over 200, play great defense, and, that's how you win the game. 2 sacks, by the way, for Birmingham's defense. So, yeah, like I said, it did not seem like they were getting a ton of pressure every time. Birmingham was sitting back in 2 safety looks, and they were getting run stops. It was crazy. So, yeah, it was a very unexpected score. I thought San Antonio would be able to, at least put something up. And I know it was like 5 minutes to go, and they were down 3 scores, 25-0. But I was kind of a fan of just kick the field goal. It was like 4th and 19. I was like, dude, like, you're not going to score a touchdown. So I was like, just kick a field goal. You're still technically down 3 scores, 22-25-3. But at least at that point, then the game is in your hands. And, you'd have to get 3 consecutive 4th and 12 conversions and score 3 times. But, just saying, I would have put the field goal on the board just to not get shut out. That would have been my advice anyways. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
I mean, I guess you could have the pride of not being shut out, but
exactly,
it means nothing in the end.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I would have cared because now Birmingham, they're going to roll this over into next season, where they have not a lot of point in. I think they said 91 minutes and 58 seconds, 5 quarters, and 20 straight drives. So yeah, no, I would not. I would want that to not be rolled over to next season as they go for a 4-peat. Chase Garbers, though, 18-26, 69.2%, 115. He got pulled. I really don't think it was his fault, though. He made a lot of good throws, and the coverage was just a blanket, and there really wasn't a ton of room for the receivers to go. Quentin Dormady came in. He was actually pretty decent, 6 of 9, 66.7%, 58 yards. He should have had a touchdown. It could not have gotten any worse for the Brahmas when that 4th down I was talking about. They could have scored. Dormady threw it right into the receiver's chest, right in his hands, and he dropped it. So I don't know what bad juju the Brahmas got. What curse the Phillips family has, because it's been 90 combined seasons between Bum and Wade, and they still don't have a championship as a head coach. So, R.I.P. Jimmy, your Vikings, and Wes Phillips, if he would ever become the head coach.
It's over.
But yeah, Adrian Martinez, 13 of 23, 56.5%, 98 yards, a touchdown, 11 carries, 52 yards, 2 scores, and 2 2-point conversions. I kind of had an issue with him as being the championship MVP, except the fact that he scored all 3 touchdowns. Because otherwise, I thought Ricky Person should have been 102 yards. Granted, 44 of his 102 came on the one run. But I think if Person would have been able to score one of those touchdowns and maybe one of those 2-point conversions, maybe he had a better argument. But I don't know. So, yeah, I guess it didn't matter, Jimmy, when we were talking about it on Thursday there. the decision Corral versus Martinez, and Skip went back to Adrian, announced it on Wednesday, which I thought was early in the week for San Antonio to be able to prepare that much for him, but did not matter. Mentioned Ricky Person, 13 carries, 102 yards, and a 4-yard reception. McFarland, like I said, struggled. Him and Lovett, all the runners for San Antonio, just 32 yards on 9 carries. And even his receiving production was limited. Did have a Big Ten targets, but caught 6 for only 38 yards. Calvin Turner led the game in receiving, which is crazy when you have a team with a guy like John Trey Kirkland on it. 5 catches, 49 yards on 6 targets for him. And Gary Jennings, the only non-Adrian Martinez rushing touchdown. He caught the first one of the game. And defensively, I am going to go with Chiava Tizzino. He did win the defensive player of the game as well. Linebacker for the Stallions, 8 tackles, 7 solos, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. The Stallions, minus 3.5. They covered under 41.5. And I'm frozen. So did it go to the next slide for you?
Yeah, you're on headlines breaking news.
Okay, cool. Well, there's not breaking news. Kind of. It was all the way
news.
It was on Thursday. Okay. If we would have had a Friday show, it would have been breaking news. College football news. One transfer portal note here. The Ole Miss wide receiver Zachary Franklin. He has transferred to Illinois. So I think I mentioned this when he originally entered the portal again this year. Very little use at Ole Miss last year. I was excited when he did transfer there. I was excited to see what he could do in Lane's offense, but based off his production at UTSA, how good he was there, but just not utilized enough. So hopefully he can find a good amount of targets with Illinois this year, except when they play Penn State. I don't even know if they play Penn State, but if they do, no targets, Zachary. No targets. We have another UFL to NFL signing. Jimmy's guy.
Oh boy.
The Lions, they signed Panthers kicker Jake Bates to a 2-year deal. Jimmy, he's good. He's good. The Lions play 14 or 15 of their first 16 games or whatever indoors. They play 1 million games indoors this season.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Our big thing always was this guy can't kick outdoors. And he's playing in division where half the stadiums are indoors, and his regular season is going to be played like 88% of his regular season is going to be played indoors. It's genuinely a perfect signing.
Yeah, and he already knows how to kick at Ford Field since that's where the Panthers play.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be a better scenario for him to be walking into if he wants to join the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. I'd have to check. I could not recall who the Lions had kicking last year. Because I know my brother-in-law, he's a Lions fan, but he couldn't remember. He was saying about Riley Patterson, but I thought they had traded Patterson to the Jags. They have Michael Badgley. That's right. Michael Badgley. So there's the camp competition for the Lions at kicker. Badgley versus Bates. NFL news. The Chiefs Super Bowl rings. If I could get unfrozen, we could see them. Unless, do you guys have the capability to share your screen?
I have something that says present. Let's see if
Oh
I can.
yeah, hit that. Yeah,
Chiefs Super Bowl rank.
I got the stats on the ring. I just wanted people to have a visual representation. You can share your screen on there.
Let's see. Let's see what happens if I do present. All right.
Maybe you presenting will get my screen unfrozen.
Boop. Press the button. Changing settings. Oh, I can't do it. I would have to quit Chrome and then come back in. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm probably gonna have to do anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't want to leave Logan all by his lonesome.
Aw.
Well, anyways, if I can get unfrozen here, the Chiefs Super Bowl rings, 529 diamonds, 38 rubies, 14.8 carats worth of gems, and it's ridiculous. The inside, I think those little footballs move on the inside. I think if you can like shake it around. I think I have not seen anyone like actually move the little footballs, but that's what it looks like.
Interesting.
And it was kind of crazy too that they on the inside of the top of the ring they inscribed the game-winning play in overtime as well. And they have the cool like 3D thing stuff on the sides with Arrowhead and Chiefs Kingdom and stuff. And of course they have all the scores of the playoffs inside the ring there.
While misidentifying the Dolphins seeding.
Oh, I did not see that.
They had them at 7 when they were the 6th seed.
Oh.
So they might have to go back and fix those.
Oh, well. They don't care. I think the only people that care are the Dolphins, maybe. But anyways, Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins. He signed his franchise tag, so he is going to be at training camp. And an extension, though, I heard is still probably unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of Brandon Ayuk talk today for some odd reason. Don't know what happened with him, but T's going to be in camp for Cincinnati. And the Bengals announced they officially signed him to a 1-year deal, which I thought was a weird announcement because it's kind of like, okay, well, you didn't really sign him. He signed the franchise tag that you offered him a while ago. So I don't know. And we're going to see more of T. Higgins than we normally would because Hard Knocks in season was announced today. And it's going to feature the entire AFC North division. Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, debuting December 3rd at 9 o'clock on HBO and Max. I am super excited. This is a very interesting division. I'm really excited to see what happens with my Steelers. And the Browns, I think, are kind of interesting as well because you have Deshaun Watson. And
yeah, the whole QB room too with Jameis.
Yeah.
God, I forgot about Jameis.
Myles Garrett's going to be a great personality as well. You got Jamar Chase. How is the T. Higgins thing gonna be taken care of during the season? Will he get traded? Now that would make good ass TV if he got traded at the deadline.
Well, it's cool too because like the AFC North is one of the more entertaining divisions in season anyways, just because a lot of the teams know each other really well and are pretty evenly matched. So hopefully we'll see kind of some parallels there. It'll be exciting on the field, and then we'll get the off the field stuff.
Yeah, I know this means nothing to Jimmy. He doesn't watch Hard Knocks, so
No. Never watched it once.
Well, this is the season to do it, Jimmy.
No.
They have the off-season one, they have the training camp one, and they have the in-season one now.
I'll just watch YouTube highlights every once in a while when they show up. Maybe they'll have a player singing Billie Jean again, and maybe I'll laugh at it.
And they have receiver coming out with your boy.
Boy, I might watch that.
Extensions. So I can't get to my cash register. Let me go back out real quick and come back in. You guys can talk about the Jags. They signed quarterback Trevor Lawrence 5 years, $275 million extension, $200 million guaranteed, $142 million fully guaranteed. So give me a second and I will be back, but let me pause the sound real quick and then be back in a hot sec.
All right. I guess it's just me and you, Logan. I guess we can react.
We'll take the reins.
We'll take the reins for now. This is tough. I feel like Tennessee was in a situation where they were damned if they do, damned if they don't. I was really shocked at the term given. I think, what is this, $55 million a year? Does this make him the highest paid quarterback per year?
I believe so, yes. Or I think he might be tied with somebody.
It's up. It's $55 million a year. I mean, it's up there. Now, I really like Lawrence. I mean, you saw I picked him for MVP last season. I thought last year was going to be his breakout year. And he had a very solid first half of the season last year, like most of the Jaguars. But the problem was the second half really kind of fell off for the entire team, Trevor Lawrence included. I still very much believe that he can be the star-studded quarterback we all saw in college. I think he was dealt the worst hand I've seen a rookie QB handed in a while, getting stuck with Urban Meyer as a rookie QB, having that fiasco go. Finally getting paired up with a QB coach like Doug Peterson. Peterson has really helped cater that offense to Trevor Lawrence's strengths. They've done a very good job giving him weapons. I think the big thing is you got to give the kid a line. Jaguars line has been great since he's joined, but it's gotten better. But as I mentioned before, this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't for the Jaguars. They were kind of in a spot where you kind of just had to re-sign Trevor Lawrence. He was your guy. You're expecting him to be your franchise QB. You're expecting him to be the guy that can continue to be a better QB than he is every single year. And to his credit, let me just quickly look up his Football Reference page just to see how he has played year by year. Yeah, I mean, this year it was second highest in completion percentage, second highest in yards, 14 interceptions, second best passing success rate, second best QB passing rating, tied for best QBR. So he's done very well. Last year was a far better year. This year he kind of, I don't want to say he dipped, but he he didn't match the performance quite yet, but he's still a very solid quarterback. I think he can continue to improve. Is I mean, you got him Brian Thomas. Hopefully, his offensive line continues to improve. So he's definitely a guy that deserved to be re-signed for the Jaguars. It's just I still cringe at the term. That's a lot. Even with the salary cap continuing to go up and up every year, it's still a bitter pill to swallow.
Mhm. Yeah, my reaction to these kind of extensions, like especially these kind of top of the market extensions, is just kind of lukewarm, just because like it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like the market is what it is. And my reaction, like if I'm a GM, is always gonna be like, yeah, like I don't want to pay a guy 55 million because that's literally so much money against my cap. But like, what am I gonna do? Just not have Trevor Lawrence? You know what I mean? I felt this same way with the Justin Jefferson signing, where it's like, yeah, like he's getting fringe QB money, but like, what am I gonna do? Like, not have Justin Jefferson? Like, I want Justin Jefferson. So that's my feeling on it. I think T Law as a quarterback, I'd love to see him cut down on some of the decision making. You kind of pointed out the double digit interceptions. I think sometimes he's a little more turnover prone than I'd like. But in terms of talent, he can make every throw. I think he's a top 10 QB. This is just kind of the market, for a guy of his services. So yeah, that's kind of where I fall on it.
And points to him too. In his short career, he's won a playoff game. He led an incredible comeback against the Chargers. He lost by a touchdown to the eventual Super Bowl champions in the divisional round. I mean, he's proven it in the playoffs that he could be very, very solid. So it's not like one of those situations where you're re-signing a guy with zero playoff experiences and just hoping to God he can show up in the playoffs when you eventually make it. He's made it. He's played okay in both his experiences. And yeah, I kind of with the same thing with Jefferson. It's one of those signings that you have to make when you have this kind of player on your roster. Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL. I would say Lawrence probably has one of the best upsides. Like if he hits his peak, he's going to be top 5 QB in the league. That is, he has to hit his peak. So yeah, it's like you said, it makes a ton of sense, but it's also like, damn, like that's a lot. You got really hope he does what you want him to do.
Well, I think I thought it was definitely worth it. I mean, the Jags, I think, are in a good spot. With the people that they have. Doug Peterson's a great coach, and he seems to get maybe the best out of Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. Maybe there is a higher ceiling, but I think with Travis Etienne there, the weapons that they've gotten, Christian Kirk coming back healthy this year, which we know Trevor loves him. I think they could do some stuff. It's tough now with the Texans being so good. But yeah, I mean, and the Colts and Titans are, you wishy-washy. You never know. They might just pop. So yeah. But yeah, we gotta give those to Chings for Lawrence, and he gets so. But yeah, we can go back to the Chiefs Super Bowl rings here for those who hadn't seen them. They're ridiculous, as most Super Bowl rings are. And here you can see the inside of it. Yeah, see these little footballs in here. Gold leaf confetti. So yeah, and so I think they can move. I'm pretty sure. It looks like they can. I don't know. The 17 points scored in the AFC Championship game. I don't even remember that. Oh, that's pretty cool, though. 1-4 Lombard. Who has all 4 of the Chiefs Super Bowls? I want to know the one person that got 4 Super Bowls inside their ring. Like the Hunt,
Probably.
Mr. Hunt was, but even him though, like, was he alive for the for the first one, or was he a kid?
Let's see, what's his name?
Because I don't, I like there's no way.
Yeah, she was alive for it.
Huh?
Norma Hunt?
Oh, Mrs. Hunt.
Yeah, she was.
I'm talking about Clark Hunt.
Oh. Oh, no, it says the Lamar Hunt at the bottom there. That's what I was thinking of.
Huh?
The guy at the bottom of the ring, Lamar Hunt.
Oh, well, yeah, Lamar Hunt. That's
Yeah.
the team founder.
Yeah. Wait, who are we talking about here?
And he's not alive, so
No.
Clark Hunt though, I thought he would be, but he would have been a kid if he was even alive for the Chiefs first.
Yeah, he was born in 65, so he was 4.
Yeah. So yeah, he was a kid. So yeah, maybe Mrs. Hunt, the only one that had 4 Super Bowls, because there's no way that anyone else would have a 4th one. Unless, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, there's a million employees on the team. You never know. Some of the employees, there could be some employees that were there for for Super Bowl 4 and that have been with the team for all those years. But yeah. Oh, there you go, Jimmy. There's Miami.
Yep.
There they are. That's a great team motto. It's just United, like, bro, you couldn't. It wasn't anything better than that.
I've never heard them reference that either. I mean, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but like I.
And there's Mrs. Hunt there. She gets the instep of the ring. But yeah, sure. They're just as big as all the other Super Bowl rings. Of course, they get more diamonds every year.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I like how you can tell how sick we are of watching the Chiefs get Super Bowl rings.
It's just like quarterback contracts. It's the same thing every time except more. The couple other signings here, the Dolphins. They signed Falcons defensive end Calais Campbell, and that's a big one. Big one for Miami. They didn't go D-line, interior D-line in the draft. Jimmy and I ripped the hell out of them for that. But now they get Calais is going to be 38, I think, this year. I think so. So I mean, obviously he's not going to be a full-time guy. He just can't. He can't play all the snaps anymore. But the thing is, with the Falcons, though, the snaps that he did play, he was still effective. Doesn't matter how old he is. Calais Campbell's still a dude. And obviously he's still 6'7", whatever the hell. He's biggest. He's like a basketball player. So, yeah, he's still massive. He's still productive. I think he had like 6.5 sacks last year, something like that. So, definitely got to be a help on the Miami defensive line as they transition into the new defense with Fangio gone. The Chargers, they also got a new defender. They signed Giant safety Tony Jefferson. So, what do you know? Another former Baltimore Raven in LA now. And they have a lot of them. Greg Roman, Tony Jefferson, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. I can't remember who else.
Must know some people on the staff.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. I don't think there's anything else going on. Yeah, it's pretty slow news day. So let's get to our draft recap here. The Packers with 1 million picks. Starting off first round, 25th overall, offensive tackle Jordan Morgan from Arizona. Second round, 2 picks, 45th linebacker Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M. 58th safety Javon Bullard from the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. 2 third-rounders, 88th running back Marshawn Lloyd from USC. 91st linebacker Tyron Hopper from Missouri. 4th round, 111, safety Evan Williams from Oregon. 2 fifth-rounders, 163 center Jacob Monk from Duke. 169 safety Kitano Ladapo from Oregon State. 6th round, 202 offensive tackle Travis Glover from Georgia State. 2 7th-rounders, 245th quarterback Michael Pratt from Tulane. 255 corner Kalen King from We Are Penn State. And we'll let the Packers fan go first. Go ahead, Logan.
Yeah, overall, I did like this draft from Goody. I'd give it somewhere kind of in the range of B to kind of B plus range.
Oh, Logan, we don't give out grades at the beginning.
Don't spoil
it. They go at the end.
You gotta tease it a little bit.
Sorry, I'm burying the lead, but yeah, I think one thing that I've really appreciated from the last few drafts that the Packers have done is that they've really hit on needs. And they've done it by using premium picks, but also not being afraid to kind of double dip. And really, they addressed what I felt like were their 3 biggest needs with their first 3 picks. Jordan Morgan, he was a guy I predicted him on our final mock draft, our pre-draft show. It wasn't something that I was like super, ecstatic about, but when the pick came in, I was like, that's such a Packers pick. Like, it just feels solid. And at this point, like, I give their front office like such the benefit of the doubt in terms of scouting O-line talent, just because they've been able to do a really good job with that. But that didn't deter them from also, taking a center and an OT later on. So just continuing to bolster positions of needs. Really excited then about the 2 defenders they nabbed in the second. I think Edgerrin Cooper has some really intriguing potential to play alongside Quay Walker, and hopefully those guys can kind of grow together. Javon Bullard, I am really excited for, just to see kind of how they use them. Kind of a hard-hitting safety. And then, yeah, I think, the Marshawn Lloyd pick too is another one that, as I was sitting there watching on day 2, I was like, I feel like they totally do that. And leading up to the draft, I was like, 388 is, I think, where they might take a running back. Just because, Josh Jacobs is in what is effectively kind of a 1-year, $14 million deal. I know it's a 4-year, like $48 million deal, but it's kind of funny money. And then AJ Dillon's also in a 1-year deal. So I knew they were probably looking to kind of groom an RB3. And I'm excited to see kind of, how he fits. But yeah, I think it was just kind of a solid, kind of meat and potatoes draft. It's kind of the hallmark, they didn't really do a whole lot flashy. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is a monster draft for Green Bay. Because they had so many picks. I believe they were the first team on my list to hit all of their needs right away, all 5 of the needs that I had, which was, tackle, linebacker, safety, RB2, I think I had it. And then I think I had safety times 2 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, they crushed the safeties. I am a fan of all 3. Bullard and Williams are going to be your free safeties. Oladapo's a hard hitter. He can he's pretty similar to McKinney, really, as a linebacker safety hybrid. Cooper, I wasn't as big on Cooper as a lot of other people are, but he did look good at the combine, ran fast, and off ball was a big need beside Quay Walker there. I like him. I like Hopper was a good one as well. He had an excellent season last year at Mizzou. Morgan and Tyler Guyton were the 2 guys at the back end of the first that were kind of that next tier after Amarius Mims. So it made a ton of sense. They've needed to replace Bakhtiari for a million years now, and they finally get it. Now, I did read an article on all the first-round picks today on ESPN about where all the first-round picks are, and he hasn't been stuck at one position. They don't know where he's going to play yet. The Packers cross-train all their guys. So our lads has him at right guard right now. I think he's a tackle. I think he's the left tackle of the future. I know my boy Rasheed Walker, my Penn State guy, is out there at left right now, but Morgan's a better player, and I think that's where he should slot in eventually. Especially because they have all these guys now. They have Dillard that they signed as a swing guy. Travis Glover they drafted as well. Jacob Monk. They got Sean Ryan they drafted in 3rd round in 22. So yeah, they got a couple decisions to make on the O-line there when cuts come. Didn't know a ton about Jacob Monk. I was kind of surprised he's listed as I guess he was the starter. Yeah, he was the 4-year starter at Duke. But it was always just kind of no one heard about Jacob Monk because everyone's talking about Graham Barton going to center. But he was actually a tackle at Duke. So the Michael Pratt thing, though, I was talking to my uncle this weekend. He's a Packers fan. We were talking about the Pratt thing. I said, I was like, this is the weirdest thing. It's the same thing almost that New Orleans did with Spencer Rattler. Except theirs was worse. They drafted Jake Haener in the 4th round last year. Rattler went in the 5th. Drafted Sean Clifford in the 5th round last year. Pratt in the 7th. The value was outstanding in the 7th round. Most people thought Pratt was a 3rd rounder and the 6th or the next quarterback off the board. Lasted till 245. The Packers are going back to the Ron Wolf strategy, draft the guy every year. And again, just like New Orleans, I think the guy that got drafted this year is probably better than the guy they drafted last year. But I just think it's tough to waste the pick after one season. And the second season is always where you see improvement because they have that full off season in the league to work out and stuff. And they're not doing all the pre-draft crap. I thought Kalen King was awesome value as well at 255. Thought he was going to go a lot higher up. He's going to have a tough time making the roster, potentially, depending on how many corners they keep. But it looks like there's probably 5 already kind of set. And so if they keep 6 corners, then King should make it, but we'll see. Love the Marshawn Lloyd thing. He was number 38 out of 78, I think it is, on my Dynasty rookie rankings. Pratt was 73. Obviously, not going to play. Has to fight for QB2 spot. But Lloyd, though, Lloyd Yeah, I agree. I had written up that like he's going to be that guy to pair with Jacobs potentially if he's there after 1 year, more than 1 year. Our lads actually has him as RB2 right now, so that's kind of crazy. But
yeah, I don't think he'll be RB2 this year, just because like the Packers are notorious for bringing along guys very slowly. I think they'll trust kind of AJ Dillon as being kind of that vet RB2 that he's been kind of the last couple of years. But I do hope that, especially later in the year, they give him some touches.
Jimmy,
I mean, what could I say that you boys haven't touched up on? I love the Morgan pick. Pat McAfee's Mel Kiper reaction excluded. I thought it was a great pick. I was a little shocked at it at first, like many were, but as time has went on, it makes a ton of sense. I love Cooper. I hate that they got Cooper. It pisses me off that they got Cooper. Same with Bullard and Lloyd. I think those first 4 picks are insanely good. And then I look at the rest of the draft. I see just very solid depth. Like this is a draft of depth for Green Bay, guys that can step in, and for guys that are injured or step into rotations and be very, very solid. I think my only gripe, and maybe you guys don't see this as much of a need for Packers, but I kind of thought with how many picks they had, they could have gone this direction. I thought maybe in the later round they could have taken interior defensive tackle depth. I know their interior defensive tackles starters are fantastic, but I thought they could maybe use one more. I can't think of if they got any last year, so maybe they just already did that last year. But I thought they could have maybe with one of their 6th or one of their 7th. So I thought they could have maybe gone that direction. But that's really my only gripe. I thought this was a great draft for Green Bay.
Mr. Brooks.
What was that?
Mr. Brooks last year in the
That's
6th
right,
round.
Mr. Brooks.
Excellent value. Had a great rookie season.
Exactly. No, you know what? You got me there. Brooks has been a great late round find. So yeah, you know what? I'll give him that. But I mean, other than that, I have no gripes. This is a draft of both quantity and quality, and it pisses me off seeing a division rival do really well in the draft.
It's good you mentioned IDL though, Jimmy, because that was one thing that I kind of flagged as a need for the Packers, kind of conditionally, depending on what they want to do with Kenny Clark, just because the IDL market is kind of booming. He's a big name there, but he's coming off a down season. So I think the fact that they didn't do that kind of speaks to we're good with Kenny and we're just going to keep, we'll work with that contract and we'll extend them when time comes. But yeah, it was one of those kind of sneaky needs for them, depending on, I think, how they felt about their IDL one. So
Logan, one more thing on the Packers here. Undrafted free agency. I want to know how this long snapper battle is going to play out in training camp. The incumbent Matt Orzik, who they signed last year, or the Wisconsin Badger himself in undrafted free agency, Peter Bowden.
Yeah. Yeah, they finally kind of go to the Wisconsin Badger route, and it's a long snapper.
Hey, they did get some other. I'm just kind of looking on here. There's really only one other undrafted guy that I think could make some noise. Raylan Goforth. My goodness, he can make some noise at that linebacker position, depending on how many they keep. All right, on to Tampa. Jimmy, you're up first since you went last time.
All right, the first shall be last. All right. Well, I think they start off this draft just similar to the Packers, just hitting on all cylinders. I love Graham Barton at 26. After re-signing Baker Mayfield to an extension along with getting Mike Evans back. The next thing you need to protect those investments by getting probably one of the best centers in the draft in Graham Barton, if not the best. I love that pick. Turn around and you realize, hey, that defensive line needs help, especially on the edge. Let's get this beast that played opposite of Dallas Turner in Alabama and Chris Braswell. I love Braswell. He was the kind of guy that when I was looking at him, I was talking to Caroline's family. They're all Browns fans. So I was like, man, I hope they take Braswell to pair him up with Myles Garrett. I think that would be insane. But Buccaneers getting him, that's such a great pick in my opinion. Then they went ahead, got a Bulldog, one of your faves, Tyke Smith, the safety. I mean, it's never a bad idea to get defensive help. And they had 2 third-round picks. They get Jalen McMillan out of Washington. Never a bad idea to get wide receiver depth. Then probably one of my favorite running backs in the draft in Bucky Irving out of Oregon. I mean, Tampa has had a huge question mark at the running back position basically since Leonard Fournette kind of flamed out. So Bucky should honestly compete for, first string minute snaps of whoever they got. I can't even name their running back off the top of my head right now.
Rashad White.
I think he could probably beat him out. And then they had to wait a little bit, but I don't mind the Klein pick out of UTEP. I mean, you know me. I say it every time. If you don't know what you want to pick, just pick in the trenches and you just get another interior offensive lineman. And Devin Culp, I don't know much about him. I don't even know what school he went to. At first, I thought that was the University of Washington. But,
Washington, yeah.
I
screwed that up. Yeah.
I've never seen a Washash. So the new school to me. They must be a D2 school. But yeah, I mean, they didn't have a lot of quantity, kind of opposite of the Packers. They only had 7 picks in 7 rounds. But I think they've made a great use of all the picks they had. I love the first 3 picks. Similar to the Packers, I think they just nailed it with their first 3. And the rest of the draft, I think, was just very solid. I like Irving a lot. I think he could really be a starting running back week 1 if he impresses. And McMillan could be a very good rotational wide receiver week 1 as well.
Yeah, they hit on 4 of my 5 needs. I was left out with corner. I thought they needed to go corner. However, I do believe Tyke Smith, I think, could potentially play nickel if they needed him to. Christian Izien is the nickel right now that they have listed. And the reason I would be okay with Tyke playing there, obviously they have Jordan Whitehead, they have Antoine Winfield, they signed to the big contract, Kayvon Merriweather, and then they signed Rashad Wisdom out of UTSA, an undrafted free agency. Love Wisdom, hard-hitting, strong safety. So I'd be okay with Tyke going there. I think Javon Bullard is the better guy to be able to play that because he's a free safety type guy. But I think Tyke could if he needed to. Excellent first 2 picks. Graham Barton replacing the retired/injured Ryan Jensen. That's a seamless fit. Christian Braswell. I was talking Christian Braswell up during pre-draft. Had some good, really solid bull rushes at the Senior Bowl when I was watching the O-line, D-line one-on-ones. And I'm excited to see his power. He's going to have a lot of competition, though. Obviously, Yaya Diaby had a great rookie season last year as a 3rd-rounder. Probably Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is probably going to be gone after this year. I know he really hasn't worked out too well as a 1st-rounder. Anthony Nelson has been a solid veteran presence. Drafted Jose Ramirez as 6th round last year at Eastern Michigan. Love him. And then signed Randy Gregory as well from San Francisco this offseason. So they got a bunch of guys at outside linebacker. McMillan, love it. He's going to be a guy for the future when Mike Evans is gone. So that's, I like that one. All the Washington receivers, it was really hard to to miss on one of the 3 Washington receivers. Irving's a great player. He's RB2 right now on the depth chart. I agree, Jimmy, though. I think he could be the guy eventually with how explosive he is. And I don't remember what his receiving looks like. I know Oregon didn't throw a lot to the backs, so I'd have to see more of his receiving work. Didn't know too much about Elijah Klein, but they needed a little bit of depth in the interior. And Devin Culp's not going to make this roster. Sorry.
Not a lot of guys from Washash make it.
I have McMillan as my number 29 out of 78. Irving as 30. And then Culp as 74 because he's just not going to make it. They already have too many tight ends in front of him. K. Dotton, Co. Kieft, and Payne Durham. So unless they keep 4, which is hard to rationalize, I don't think he's going to make the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really liked this draft, and for a lot of reasons, I like the Packers draft. I think they hit on needs with a lot of their picks. They had a lot of holes on that O-line, and I think they got exposed with that at points this past year, and they went out and got somebody who theoretically can play all 5 positions at either a good to high level. I think that's just a really good pick. Chris Braswell, I think it's always good to target high value positions. And I think he's an interesting prospect. Probably my favorite pick, I think, in terms of fit, is the Jalen McMillan pick. He's a guy that I was really high on. I think that he could potentially be wide receiver 3 for them as early as this year. And as Mike Evans and Chris Godwin kind of continue to age or maybe end up at different places, he could eventually step up and take the reins. Bucky Irving, I know he had kind of some egregious athletic testing, but I liked the tape. I liked what I saw. 4th round flyer to pair with Rashad White. I think he pairs well. So I think this is just a really solid draft.
Yeah, and like I said, the only one I had the only need I didn't see them get was corner, and I'm okay. The starters are fine. Zion McCollum, Jamel Dean, pretty solid. Christian Isian has been a good find as an undrafted guy. Bryce Hall has been a guy that has been a couple different places, but played pretty well in New York with the Jets. But after that, they need help. They still need help. Josh Hayes, they drafted last year in the 6th round. I don't know too much about. Tavir Thomas, pretty much a special teamer throughout his career. And then they have undrafted guy, one guy from last year, Keenan Isaac. And then 3 guys this year they signed an undrafted free agency. Tyreek Funderburk. I've heard of the name. Don't know too much about it. Andrew Hayes and Chris McDonald. I don't know those guys. So, yeah, I mean, they're thin at the corner position. And like I said, I would not be shocked if Tyke Smith ends up having to play some slot. Just because if they get injured, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty big need because of the Carlton Davis trade, and they didn't address it. So I was kind of surprised there. Even with only 7 picks, the last 2 especially, I thought, the Packers got Kalen King, bro, in the 7th. That was a guy that I could have seen the Bucs taking a flyer on in one of their last 2 picks. All right, it's grade time. So now, Logan, you can give your Packers grade.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them kind of a B+. Like I said, this is just a really solid draft for me. They went higher than consensus on a few guys like Hopper, Williams. So, there's risk with that. But like I said, I give this front office the benefit of the doubt when it comes to certain stuff. So, yeah.
Bucks.
The Bucks, I'm also giving kind of a B plus. Like I said, I liked both of these drafts for similar reasons. I think they knew what needs they had, and I think they did a really good job at addressing those needs. Yeah.
Jamie?
It is with a heavy heart I give the Packers an A minus.
Let's go.
It physically hurts me to do it, but I can't beat them up for this. They drafted super well. I think my only two complaints are I mentioned they could have gone interior D line for depth if they wanted to, but didn't want to. And I'm a little worried about doing three safeties. I'm not a huge fan of double drafting, and sometimes triple dipping can be very dangerous. That gives me a little bit of worry. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's just an easy A minus for them. They nailed it in the top half of the draft. They nailed it at they nailed it in the later rounds. I mean, it's just ugh, I want to puke being so nice to them.
Tampa,
I'm gonna go with Logan. B plus. I love Barton. I love Braswell. I really like Irving. I like McMillan. I think Tyke Smith, there's question marks on where he's going to fit. But if they can figure it out and he can excel where he is, I mean, it's another massive success. The last two picks, kind of just a bunch of long shots at best. That's kind of why I'm giving it a B plus. I don't really see Klein and Culp be on opening day roster. I think Klein could be practice squad, but I heard that, but I mean, when you hit your first, 5 picks, in my opinion, you deserve an easy B plus.
Yeah, so I'm with you on the Packers. A minus for me. I loved the 3 safety picks. They went 3 out, 3 in. They had 3 safeties, free agents that they lost, and like I said, all 3 fit perfectly with what they do. Bullard and Williams are your free safety guys, with Bullard having the ability to play nickel as well. And Oladapo is pretty much a younger Xavier McKinney. He's a hard hitter that maybe is a little limited in coverage, but can play linebacker, smaller linebacker if you need him to, can play on tight ends and whatnot. And yeah, Morgan, I think, is the left tackle of the future. Love that pick. They hit on the linebacker need as well. Lloyd, I think, could be a solid piece for the offense. And like I said, the value in the 7th round that Gutekunst got was just outstanding with Michael Pratt and Kalen King. So A minus there. And for the Bucks, I'm going B. The corner thing, I just can't get off the corner thing. If they lose Zion McCollum or Jamel Dean, I mean, they're going to be severely limited in the secondary. So with that in mind, otherwise, I like you said, Jimmy, the first 5 picks I thought were pretty good, especially the Barton, McMillan, and Irving picks I thought were the best 3 that they had. All 3 potential starters. Barton will be a day 1 starter, and Braswell could be as well, depending on how the Tryon Shoyinka deal works out. And that's the show. That is the show for today. Not seeing anything else on the Twitter feed. So, yeah, next week we'll be back on Monday talking off-season week 2. We'll continue doing our draft recap series. Ravens and 49ers. Repeat of the Har Bowl, Super Bowl 47. So, yeah, it's It's going to be a good one. 2 contending teams on Friday. We're going back to Friday this week, Jimmy. Back to Friday.
Ooh.
Friday, we're going to do the Chiefs-Cowboys. So we're getting into those contending teams now. So makes it a little more interesting to see how they kind of retool every year through the draft. But yeah, don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast, Instagram, and X. FAApodcast.com is our website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Thank you all for the downloads. I had a crazy day on Saturday, 263 downloads, 340 last week overall. So thanks. It was a weird, we had a dead spell and then it ticked back up to where we were 2 weeks ago. So appreciate all the love and thank you guys. We'll see you all back for Football Friday.